What is going on, you guys? It's Combat Flotillas today. I am using Ryan Kingston's Armada Fleet Builder to bring to you a new list today, and this is kind of a fun list, but it's kind of inspired by the expectations that the Dornian gunships are coming, and that they could, because they're so small, they could come in the form of a flotilla, that they might be combat flotillas to kind of match the Gazantes. The rebels don't really have much as far as combat flotillas right now. That's actually really not a word people tend to think of. So we've got our cheaper Gazanti cruisers, but I'm going to go with the Gazanti class assault carriers today to try to be a combat flotilla, and just kind of they also, with the FAQ, they kind of changed a lot of the way flotillas work, and now you can only have 2 of them, and this all kind of lends itself to this idea that maybe flotillas are going to become a little more powerful, and they didn't want people to be able to spam flotillas that would be able to do so much damage, for cheap. So if that's the case, I wanted to kind of just experiment on what we have right now, and kind of see what I could come up with. So here is something that I was looking at. Well, this is going to be an interesting build because I try to figure out how can we really maximize the Gazanti, and I toyed around with some Tarkin builds with Intensify Firepower. I toyed around with some Vader builds, and there's a lot of that I don't like. One of the things I don't like is I don't like using Vader to give these guys rerolls to give that red die some extra oomph, primarily because of they only have these 2 valuable defense tokens, and I don't want to spend those for offense. I want to save those to keep them alive. So I decided to go ahead and do something a little different, and I'm using a Simoon in this fleet, but I am going to add we're going to add Tag as our commander. Now Tag is here so that when they force us to scatter, because we're going to make these flotillas really, really dangerous, and our opponent's going to really want to get rid of them. So we're going to add Tag on this Simoon to help keep the scatter, to help it come back. I'm basically hoping if we can launch these guys fast enough that at the start of the 3rd round we'll have already spent one and we can get it back if we need to. That being said, first thing I'm going to do is kind of outfit my Simoon here with some things that I will need. I am going to use Intensify Firepower in case we roll blanks on the red. I am going to just do standard stuff. Gunnery team is of course going to be here, and we'll do XI7s and a Spinal Armament on this Simoon, so we can keep the Simoon kind of far in the back, really kind of spam out that front arc, and we'll have a little bit of dice mitigation from Intensify Firepower. But you might think, well, okay, no problem, I will just use the flotillas to pass over tokens. No, the flotillas are not. I'm actually going to have 2 flotillas, so we're going to have 2 of them. And they're not going to be passing tokens to the Simoon. This might seem counterintuitive, but these flotillas are here to be taking Concentrate Fire and spending it, and rolling 2 red dice out the front, and causing havoc that way. But they're going to cause havoc in other ways too. So here's what we're looking at. This is going to be my lead flotilla. I'll start with this one on the top. This one is going to add Minister Tua. Minister Tua is going to open up the defensive retrofit, and we're going to use that defensive retrofit to add an electronic countermeasures. And this is very, very, very important, because if somebody is attacking us there, and they're going to want to, because this is going to be the one that's far enough ahead, we're going to guarantee that we can scatter, which is going to be very, very important with Tag, because maybe the first shot comes in, causes us to scatter normally. The second shot comes in, they're going to need lots of accuracies to be able to get damage through, and Tag allows, even if we have to scatter twice in a turn, we can get that token back. That's part of what's going on here. So for this lead one, we're also going to go ahead and give it a title. We're going to give this a suppressor, so I can push this far enough forward to cause additional havoc. Again, these are combat flotillas. This guy isn't all just about attacking. He's also causing damage and exhausting defense tokens just by being where he or she is, and 2 being on board helps keep him alive or her alive that much more. But we're not done. I'm also going to go ahead and put slicer tools on board. I mean, again, if we're going, not all combat is dice. Sometimes combat is disruption, and that's definitely what this is doing. It's definitely saying, hey, you really want to spend your time attacking these Gazantis. You really, really want to do that. And hopefully that's exactly what they'll do. That being said, I also am going to be a little sneaky, and I'm going to do something that isn't seen very often, and we're going to put Phylon Q7 tractor beams on board this guy. It's more disruption. What this is going to do, there's a lot of people running small ships out there. There's a lot of small ships that show up. Raiders are starting to make more of a comeback. CR90s have always been good. MC30s have been really good. You know, not everybody's running small ships, but when you do run into small ships, this is going to keep them slowed down enough that they can't get out of Suppressor's range, that they can't get out of the Simoon's front arc. We're going to try to really slow people down. And we're going to combo that with, on our second Kazanti, we're also going to add Phylons there as well. So we can really try to slow people down even more. We can combo it. If somebody is running nav tokens, we're going to slow them down tremendously. Again, this won't do anything for medium or large ships, but we have other things to deal with them. We're just looking to do something to deal with everything, especially for those CR90s and smaller ships and those Architans and stuff that might want to fly out of our front arc and try to get behind us. We're going to slow them down. So, since I'm moving on to the second Gazanti, we're not going to have as much on this one. This one will be the follow-up behind Gazanti. This is, again, Minister Tua is on our lead ship. And then our second ship here is going to have also slicer tools. Because, again, we're doubling up the threat. We want you to think both of these guys are a threat. And to help keep this one alive, since we don't have Minister Tua, we are going to add Captain Brunson to help keep this ship alive. Captain Brunson will absolutely do a lot of that. For those times that we do get the accuracy, maybe we can at least cancel a double damage die and keep the damage from coming through to kill us. Captain Brunson will be very helpful for that. Again, not as good as Tua, but cheaper if you consider Tua plus ECM is 9 points and she's only 5, and has different uses as well. That being said, we've got some ships that can do some damage. These guys can now concentrate fire, roll 2 red out the front. One of those dice can become a hit if it's blank. The only bad result here is if we get 2 blanks, and so you know, then we'll be fine. And even when we get 2 blanks, we're still going to have 1 hit. That being said, so these guys are kind of like bombers. You know, I mean, they're way more expensive, but they're kind of like super bombers that are causing all kinds of disruption. I just love these combat flotillas, because people don't expect that either. Like nowadays, we're entering like a meta where, not really much of meta, I don't know if meta is the right word, but we're entering a phase of the game where people are more likely to just ignore flotillas and try to focus on your flagship. And I'm going to make that choice really, really tough on them. So that's basically that is what's going on here. Now we have room for I'm going to add another ship. I'm going to add an Architans. The Architans light cruiser is basically one of my favorite ships in the entire game, probably my favorite ship. And this one is going to run turbo laser reroute circuits. Now turbo laser reroute circuits is sometimes people will pick Captain Nita to go on an Architan, so they have the extra evade, but I don't need to worry about that because I've got Tag. So Tag is also providing support for the Architans because I have freedom to spend my evade on the TRC shot, and I don't care if it gets spent also when defending, because I will be able to get it back with Tag. So I mean, if that much is kind of self-explanatory. That's kind of how that works. And you know, again, rolling 3 red out the side. I have lots of dice mitigation now. I'm almost guaranteed. You know, you can guarantee at least 3 damage with this, which is nice, especially at long range, but you're probably going to get more than that, because all it takes is 1 other die to show damage for you to have more than 3. So you're probably looking at an average of about 5 damage here, 4 or 5, and a pretty good chance of getting the accuracy as well, like if you're going up against other flotillas or against a Star Destroyer with that single brace. So again, very good stuff. Let's go ahead and look at squadrons at this point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 fire sprays to this build. Fire spray 31, 2, 3, 4. That brings us up to 398. Now the fire spray is just a fantastic, well-rounded ship. Fire spray has got 2 blue against ships and 3 blue against squadrons. It has speed 3, which is all right. 6 hull means it's going to live for a long time. They have bomber, so the 2 blue is really effective. And you don't need bomber command center on these guys. You just really don't. I mean, you might end up rolling 2 accuracies, but that's not really, you know, the odds are in your favor of rolling, you know, of rolling 2 damage. You have a really good chance of rolling 2 damage against ships. And you've got rogue, which is really important because I do want my ships to be able to be using concentrate fire commands. I really do. I think that's going to be important here. And the other thing is, if I do go up against a heavy squadron presence, the fire sprays are going to be enough to disrupt them. 6 hull each means they're going to be able to really stay alive for a while. If I can't have the chance, I want to place that station somewhere in the middle of the board. So if I go up against a really intensive squadron build, I can maybe park my fire sprays on the station a little bit while they're fighting, and maybe heal a little bit if I have the opportunity to move there. But still, you know, the other thing is squadrons are going to really want to go after these Gazantes, and I'll use these 4 fire sprays to punish my opponent depending on how many squadrons they have. If they have like maybe 4 or even 6, I might just fly the fire sprays on the outside and use them as punishment. If my opponent dedicates his squadrons to going after my Gazantes, I'll take the fire sprays and just hit 2 blue, 2 blue, 2 blue, 2 blue. That's actually going to be more damage than these Gazantes would put out, and you know, I can really punish them for ignoring the fire sprays. Let's look at objectives for a list like this. We have some interesting ones. Now, advanced gunnery is pretty much straight out because I've got gunnery teams on the Simoon, and the only really other good option would be the Architans, and I don't like that for this particular build. No, I don't know if anybody has ever... I've never seen anybody actually run Blockade Run. I think this is probably the worst objective in the game right now. I think it would be a lot better if you had the option to fly off the board, because if you have a fast ship, you can get down there in like 3 or 4 turns, and then you just have to stay there, which is weird. So, you know, poor objective there. Sometimes if I'm running flotillas, a lot of times I'll tell people run Most Wanted, but these are expensive, more expensive flotillas, and I don't want you getting extra dice on my flotillas. I want my flotillas to survive here, so I'm not going to choose Most Wanted here. I think, you know, I think this might be a good opportunity for opening salvo, only because these flotillas are going to do that much more damage. And again, it's a tough one because opening salvo, I usually like to have 5 ships, but here I only have 4. But again, it makes it fits the theme. It may not be technically the best. There are some that might be a little bit better, but I really do like opening salvo. I think Station Assault could also be an option here, but opening salvo is going to be a lot of fun, especially since these guys, I can mitigate what my opponent gets. Well, like my opponent's going to get extra red dice if he chooses this one, but my lead ship, the one they're going to probably have to attack first, unless they just choose not to attack, which I'm fine with that, is they're going to waste their 2 extra red dice here, and I can guarantee the scatter. I can guarantee it. So, you know, I can wipe away my opponent's advantage if they go with opening salvo. That being said, let's look at defense. We have a couple of options in here. Now, Capture the VIP is one of those that I'm probably never going to pick, since they put out, you know, Jin Urso, and it can potentially blow up on you. It just seems like it's too risky, unless maybe you are flying Jin Urso. Contested Outpost, you know, I'm not... I don't think this is a really good one for that. I think this Contested Outpost is better for like slow-moving things like a couple of victories. Fighter Ambush could potentially work. Fighter Ambush is a possibility because of the fire sprays, but I would rather have more than 4 squadrons if I'm going with Fighter Ambush. I used to really like Fighter Ambush when Relay worked across the map, but if this, you know, I think I would want like probably 6 rogues if I was going to go with Fighter Ambush, but I think this one is still an option. Fire lanes, again, a little bit better if I had more ships or potentially somebody with strategic. It's a little tricky either way. I think for this one though, I'm going to go with Planetary Ion Cannon, and that's partially because you know, I'm gonna put them down in a way. I'll put these I'll put basically the strategic markers down in a way that kind of helps my Gazantes attack, because this is going to effectively increase that first round barrage or the second round barrage from the Gozantes and make their dice count for a little bit more as well. Maybe not the most tactical thing, but I think it fits into the theme with having my front two ships be flotillas and also cause a lot of havoc. I think this is more of a fun build than a tournament winning build, but I think playing the game for fun is one of the most important things. So it's not always important to have a list that's designed to win every game, but sometimes it's important to have a list that's designed to make you smile and maybe make your opponent smile, and even if they lose, they say, wow, I never expected that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to put together here. Now for navigation, these, it's just so hard for me to go with anything that isn't Solar Corona or superior positions, but if I'm gonna try to change things up a little bit, 398, there's a pretty good chance I'm gonna end up being second player. I mean, we could go back to an old favorite of minefields. The thing with minefields is, and that really might help is minefields could disrupt my opponent's early plans depending on how everything gets set up. It will kind of give me an advantage of knowing where they're likely to go, and you're not seeing as many people run strategic anymore. So I think it's kind of safe to run minefields again. So I could consider that, but at the same time, there's really no way to guarantee that somebody sets up in a specific spot. You can mine one half of the board and then set the other half free, and I think they'll go that way. But Solar Corona and superior positions still kind of trump it as far as that is concerned. So I'm thinking dangerous territory here might be better, just because if I'm trying to get into that ideal position, especially with Captain Brunson trying to stay near objectives, I think dangerous territory is going to give us, what I don't want to have happen is for me to have taken a little bit of damage and I've got my scatters and I'm good, but then I hit an asteroid and then it's a double damage, and then my opponent rams me and then I'm dead, even though I had all my scatters and everything. So dangerous territory. Because of those flotillas only have 3 hull, we definitely don't want them to get hurt from that. And we can pick up a few. Tokens in the meantime, and that should be a fun one. And the other thing about this is that Phylon Qs will also disrupt my opponent from trying to sweep in and pick up some of those objectives as well. So that is the list. It's a little different from the norm, but I hope you guys like it. I'll put a link to Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder in the comments below. I'm going to save this one as Combat Flotilla. Yeah, because I think that'll be a fun list to fly. Let me know what you think, guys. If you've flown something like this before, let me know what you how it's worked out for you. Was it more of a fun list? Because I think this will be a really fun one to get on the table, even if you lose. Sometimes it's fun just to have a good time and shake hands at the end. But yes, don't forget to enter. I have a huge giveaway going on right now. I'm giving away 3 X-Wing conversion kits in the form of a cool stuff gift card. So you can enter to win one of those. All you have to do is become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos, and that will be announced before Gen Con. So make sure you are subscribed and make sure you click that bell for alerts so you don't miss out when any new videos come out. We just had a lot of really cool stuff come out. There's been a lot of news floating around with Lucasfilm. We just had X-Wing Wave 14 come out. So a lot of great stuff, and hopefully some more Armada news very, very soon, or some Armada news very, very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.